What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Xtra Innings Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah. We're back today, episode 91. I know I said I was going to have episodes out. Again, I keep failing you guys here, but we're back here. Now, today's going to be a little bit of a different kind of episode. I know I say that a lot in the sense that it's crunch time. For a lot of teams, it's crunch time because we got about, I think the first wildcard game is on the 30th of September. Today's the 16th. So it's looking like we got about a couple weeks left of the season. I'm trying to get to my calendar, but it's like calendar. I've been using a Mac different. So I record on my PC and I use a Mac to pull up all my stuff with my iPad here with my show notes. So I'm trying to figure out how to get to the damn calendar and I can't. But anyway, it's about 2 weeks, right? Today's the 16th. First one's on the 30th. I was trying to say, I think it's like a Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to get that first wild card series. So yeah, so last time I made an episode, which is I think it was about 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. I went through the postseason picture if it ended today, right? So it's pretty damn close. I don't think there's been any changes since I announced it last time, right? So right now it's gonna be a little bit of a wild card episode, if you will. So you've got, if it started today, let me start with this. So yesterday, the Phillies clinched, so they're for sure in, and the Brewers clinched 2 days ago, right? So awesome for the Brewers. There was a message that that Pat Murphy read out from the late Bob Uecker, which is really sick. That was really cool. Obviously, the Brewers are playing. If I had to guess, forget that. That was awesome. The Bob Uecker thing was sick, but the Brewers are going to for sure be in the DS. They're going to skip the wild card. Best, in all honesty, the hottest team right now and probably playing the best baseball as a whole is the Brewers. Obviously, the Phillies are strong. But yeah, so on the national side, you have the Phillies, and then the Brewers are already clinched. They're going to be in the DS, and then the wild card series you have right now the Mets and the Dodgers, the Padres and the Cubs, which we're going to get into that. And then on the other half, you've got on the American League, you've got the Astros in Seattle on the wild card, and the Red Sox and the Yankees on the wild card. And then obviously haven't fully clinched yet, but they're probably going to, the Tigers and the Blue Jays. Now, starting off with the teams that I think will be out immediately. Listen, I'm not sold on the Blue Jays. I'm just not sold on them. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a little bit of a vindictive energy coming from me because I'm a Yankee fan, and the broadcast booth of the Blue Jays pretty much ripped the Yankees not too long ago. But we're going to talk about the Yankees because I do, as much as it hurts, I'm not totally disagreeing with what he said, to be honest. And then they did have Savage, I think it's how you pronounce his last name, make his debut yesterday. Had a really good outing. I think he had like 9 strikeouts, which is impressive for your rookie debut. Where's my remote? Aha. Sorry, I gotta put some games on here. Yeah, so he made his debut last night. They're trying to bolster their staff, obviously, because right now, besides Gausman, Berrios, Bassett, maybe, like their starting pitching is not bad. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not it's not elite necessarily, but it's not awful. I'm just going to be honest. It's not terrible. It's not the worst starting. There's definitely worse starting pitching, and we're going to get to that. I'm not sold on the Blue Jays going far, right? Because if you think about it, they're going to face either the Red Sox or the Yankees. It's going to be a toss-up if I got to be honest with you. So yeah, not sold on the Blue Jays. And you got the Tigers, right? So the Tigers themselves had a scare last week, late last, I think it was either Friday or Saturday of last week, with Skubal exiting his start after 46 pitches. You have people saying that he just didn't have it that day and he faked the injury to get out of the start. I saw that. I was a little worried because not only, I said this on Twitter, I think Tarek Skubal is cocky. I'm going to be honest. He's cocky, but then again, backs it up. He's a great pitcher, right? Without Skubal, I am worried that the Tigers don't have much. Their offense is decent. They have the resurgence of Javi Baez. They've got a couple other pieces here and there. But they're starting pitching over there, I think. Let me see, the Detroit Tigers. Because they're relying on Casey Mize, who's been a reliever. I think this is the first or second year he's been starting under AJ Hinch, right? Let me see if I can find their roster here. Jack Flaherty, duh. So they're relying on Jack Flaherty, Casey Mize, Charlie Morton, Chris Paddock, and Tarek Skubal. And I know they're going to be getting Jose Urquidy, who was at the Astros forever ago. Obviously, well known to AJ Hinch, was on that World Series team. Right. So you're relying on some guys that have been okay. They're doing all right, but nobody's on the level that Skubal's at. And I think that's the problem, right? So without Skubal, it's going to be really tough for them to get through some of these lineups, right? So again, the Tigers are going to be another hit or miss team. Going over, like I said already, I think the Brewers are going to give it to. I think the Brewers are going to make it to whoever they face, whether that's San Diego or the Cubs. They're going to get to the CS. I think from the CS they'll really be challenged. I think that it's hold on, because we're going to get to these wild card teams. There's a lot happening in the wild card that we have to talk about, and I know there's a lot of games happening tonight. Everything for these wild card teams and more is crucial moving forward, right? Let me see if I can pull up the standings real quick. That's a big deal. I'll be standings. No, I don't want to see them on Google. I want to see them on the site. There we go. All right, but we'll get to that in a second, right? So I think that at the earliest exit the Brewers get is a championship series, because whoever they face in the DS, whether that's the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the whoever, it's going to be interesting. So right now, the Mets, and we got to talk about the Mets. So this is going to kind of feed into the wild card talk, right? So right now, if you look into the wild card, you have, here we go. So the Cubs are 9 games ahead, and you got the Padres that are 5 games ahead, and the Mets are sitting even, and beneath them, and this is where it's going to get intense. You've got the Diamondbacks, who are a game and a half behind, who, if they play well this series, could very well, especially tonight. They had a great game last night. If they play well again tonight, they'll be 1 game back by the Mets. Then you got the Reds 2 games behind, and the Giants 2 games behind as well. And then after that, it's pretty much out of reach. The Giants, they're not going to make it that far. I don't think. They struggled real bad last night. The Reds are too inconsistent, in my opinion. I think maybe that if all the puzzle pieces fall perfectly, they may have a shot. But right now, it's looking like the Diamondbacks have the best shot, which is super surprising, just crazy surprising. But I do want to talk about the Diamondbacks. But first, we have to talk about the Mets, right? Because the Mets are the piece. So the Mets are going into a 3-game series with the Padres. The Padres are obviously no slouch. I can go on and on about that roster, and then obviously how much they bolstered their bullpen at the deadline with the Mason Miller and a couple other pieces that they added. Hard to argue, right? The Mets have been struggling, bro. The Mets have been having a tough go of it. Let me see here. Like the Mets, let's see. For sure, I was reading an article earlier. They had the worst losing skid since like June, right? And it's crazy. So Pete Alonso had a walk-off the other day to snap an 8-game losing streak. Jonah, here's the thing. They brought up Jonah Tong. They brought up Noah McLean, however you pronounce his name. And they brought up that other guy, whatever his name was, right? And then you have, obviously Clay Holmes, Peterson, and they got Senga in AAA, right? So here's my thing, and I said this on Twitter as well. You bring up all these guys, right? You got to remember the Mets. If all goes well and they play well, let's just say they clean it up and everything goes fine, they're getting the Dodgers in that wild card. What I'm worried about is obviously the offense it's all right. You got Lindor, you've got Alonso, you've got Juan Soto, you've got some power, right? You got some stuff there, right? But the what you're going to rely on is a bunch of rookies going into facing one of the hottest teams, because the Dodgers are one of those teams where they have their ups and downs. They've had their problems. Teoscar Hernandez is playing good again. Mookie Betts is playing good ball again. Max Muncy's on a hot streak again. Like, all these guys are turning it back up. It's the worst. Playing the Dodgers is the worst time, but if you're a Dodgers fan, it's the best time for them to get hot. Cleaning the slate of everything else that's happened this year, right? This is when you need them to get hot, which they seem to be ramping it up. And you have to remember McLean, is probably, as of right now, the most valuable asset in that rotation. I don't care what anyone says. You can tell me I'm an idiot. Don't believe me. Whatever. He seems to have the best stuff in that rotation at the moment. He's got like a 1.19 ERA. He's torn it up. He's pitched against the Phillies. He's pitched against quite a few other high caliber clubs. He's been put in tough situations. He's got himself out of the tough situations. Like, he has shown grit in all his starts. I've watched him. He's the real deal. Jonah Tong, on the other hand, had a great first start against the Marlins. But again, it's the Marlins. And even then, it wasn't elite. He had walks. He was still getting hit hard. It wasn't anything like McLean. And then obviously last week didn't get out of the first inning. And it was tough. It was tough. Let's see here. Brandon Sproat is the other guy. Sprout. Decent. And no team in baseball has won a World Series with 3 rookie starters in the rotation. It just doesn't happen, right? The results for, like I said, I'm reading an article here. I found it. The results for McLean have been awesome. Obviously, he's 4-1 with a 1.19 ERA, 1.19 ERA, 1 home run and 37 in the third. He's probably the best you got. Sprout allowed 3 runs on 6 innings in his debut and followed it up with 6 scoreless against the Rangers on Saturday. But again, Tong, who led the minor leagues in ERA and strikeouts when he was recalled, scuffled, leading to a miserable outing on Friday when he had no fastball command and gave up 6 runs without escaping the first. That doesn't fly, right? So you can't even hope for that, right? So in my opinion, this series right now is crucial, and the next one is crucial for the Mets. Who do the Mets have? Mets schedule. So right now, like I said, they're starting a 3-game set with the Padres, and they got the Nationals. They should take care of business at the Nationals over the weekend. They get a day off, and they got the Cubs, and they finish with the Marlins. So that's going to be in their favor. The Cubs will probably give them some fits, which, again, that's next week's going to be even more crucial. So they have to at least not get swept. I mean, getting swept would be the worst possible outcome for them. They have to at least take 2 out of 3 for something good to happen for them this week. I mean, that's the way it's going to have to be. They should take care of business against the Nationals. The Cubs are going to give them fits, and then they should take care of business against the Marlins. But this series, and then this time next week against the Cubs, are going to be tough. But yeah, what it's going to come down to is if the pitchers can take care of business, man. It's going to be tough with 3 rookies. It's going to be 3. If you ask me now, the Mets can't go into this. If they make the wild card, they can't go into the wild card with Tong as a starting pitcher. You're going to have to rely on those other guys. And it's a 3-game set, so they should be okay. You go McLean and you go Holmes or Peterson, and that's your best bet, to be 100% honest. So that's what I'm thinking there. Now, again, interesting there. Going to who's right under them, we're going to talk about the Diamondbacks. Now, I'm a Diamondbacks fan, so it's tough for me to say this. They sold at the deadline, got rid of Shelby Miller. And if you remember Jordan Montgomery, he went along with Shelby Miller to the Brewers. Shelby Miller ended up getting Tommy John, so he's not even playing at the moment. They sold Merrill Kelly. They got rid of Naylor, Suarez. They sold at the deadline and somehow got better. And that was a shock to a lot more people than you would think, right? I was kind of like, well, the Diamondbacks sold. You had Zach Gallen having a terrible year. Corbin Burns goes down the shitter with Tommy John. Won't see him for a while. Like, there was just so much that wasn't looking good for them. And I knew they wanted to be at a certain point before the deadline if they were going to keep, because the thing is that the management with the Diamondbacks, the GM over there, I'm blanking on his name at the moment. They want to win, man. They've invested in the team. It's not like they're the fucking Marlins. It's not like they're the fucking Athletics. Like, they want to win. You know, obviously they had their run in 23, had an off year last year, missed it in a tiebreaker. And here we are again this year. And again, I'm telling you honestly, like, they're a fun team to watch. Blaze Alexander's is out of the blue. I know I'd never heard of him before and is playing really great. Jordan Lawler came up a couple different times this year and just didn't have it. And then somehow is here, and all of a sudden he's kind of putting the pieces together, and he looks all right. He looks decent. He's finally and the thing was with him, it was like he would get a couple hits, or he couldn't hit for shit. Then he gets a couple hits and things are going to start kind of falling for him. And now he's hitting balls off the wall, almost hitting his first homer, just really looking good. And then obviously Marte, Perdomo's having a year, Corbin Carroll's having a year, and then you got a lot of dispensable pieces. Obviously, they just lost Lourdes Gurriel to the ACL injury. That was pretty tough, but they've had other guys step up, man. Gabby Moreno, James McCann was a great pickup for them. There's so many pieces for them, but again, the pitching is going to be the catalyst, and that seems to be the going rate for a lot of these teams. Is the pitching is the catalyst. Gallen has done really great since the deadline, since no one wanted him. I don't know if maybe nobody wanted him or the number wasn't high enough. I don't know, but he's pitched really well. Chris Matt, who came in after they dealt Kelly, has pitched decently well. Like all their guys are just enough, but the offense is just slaughtering teams right now. An 8-1 win the other day. They're just really putting enough. The offense is really taking care of business. When you look a couple months back, and it was like in 2-1 games, they just couldn't scrap the 1-2 runs to win ball games. Now it's a completely different story. The offense is exploding. So that's going to be interesting to see. Let me see this. And now, so like I said, they've got the they've got the Giants. They just started a set yesterday. They got a 3-game set against the Giants, which is going to be huge. They just took 2 out of 3 from the Twins. Last week they got beat 2 of 3 from San Francisco, but if they can take it to San Francisco, it's going to be good. But here's the kicker that I have with the Diamondbacks and what's really going to be tough. The Mets are the team that they're going to have to rely on. And the Mets have like I said, they have like one series that maybe is going to be tough for them, because right now they have this one, which is tough. But at the same time, like the Giants can be sneaky for the Diamondbacks, right? Again, so let's say they take 2 out of 3 and the Mets lose 2 out of 3, right? So the best case scenario is they're like, I don't know, a half game back. Diamondbacks are playing the Phillies this weekend. So they start a 3-game set on Friday. That's a tough series. Day off. Then they got the fucking Dodgers next week, a 3-game set, all at home, which is cool, I guess. Home field advantage, if you want to call it that. And then they finish the season off with the Padres. So it's kind of like, as much as I love it, and this late season explosion that they're having, and guys are finally finding it. It's exciting, but damn, it's going to be tough. I mean, the best thing you can hope for is that the Nationals can really put something on them. It's going to be really hard for the Diamondbacks to take 2 of 3 from the next of these, all 3 of these series. Like I said, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough. That's kind of the biggest piece there. It's going to be a really hard road for them. Can they do it? Absolutely. I'm sure they could. And then just for shits and giggles, like, let's talk about the Reds and who the Reds have. Although I think the Reds are so hit or miss that I think it's going to be really tough for them to string together a really strong end of the season to put them in. I don't see it. So right now they're at a 3-game set with the Cardinals. I mean, they won yesterday 11-6. They should hopefully get a sweep there, which could probably propel them up. Then they got the Cubs, then they got the Pirates, which should do good there, and then they got the Brewers to end it. So again, another tough slate of games. This is what's going to be interesting. This race is going to be really tough. It's going to be really, really tough. There's going to be a lot of teams that are fighting, and it's going to come down to like technicalities in some of these, because I think it's going to be like a 50-50 split in some of these games. It'll be interesting. But we have to talk about the elephant in the room if you're an Astros fan, and I know I have a lot of friends who are Astros fans, and you can't ignore what happened last night. Jordan Alvarez rolls his ankle, and it looks like Espada said today that it's significant, and it doesn't look good. I'm gonna be 100% honest. So it doesn't look like he rolled it, tweaked it. No, that shit was like sideways, dude. His ankle doesn't look good. Doesn't look good there. I was trying to see I think she's starting the oven. But yeah, so right now they're in a set with the Rangers. What do I think about this? I haven't really put a lot of thought into this, but we have to talk about it because of the Jordan issue. Do I think they can win without Jordan? Yeah. People put a lot of weight on Jordan. I think that they've done well without him most of this year, to be honest. They've done a lot of stuff without Jordan. Is Jordan a catalyst in the lineup? Absolutely. I think that Jordan can deal damage. He's top 5 best hitters in baseball, if you ask me. Honestly, maybe top 7 if you're really going to be picky. He's a great hitter, man, and he can set up a lot of stuff for you. He can do a lot of damage. Not having him is definitely going to hurt, and it's going to hurt them. But I think that if, Pena plays well, if Correa plays well, if Altuve plays well, again, there's still so many pieces to that lineup. Again, and I know I sound like a broken record, the catalyst, pitching. You've had issues with Framber. Who do we have in the starting rotation? I'm curious because I don't even know. I haven't really been paying attention to Astros games. Let's see. So you're obviously Christian Javier. You've got Garcia on the IL, Arrighetti on the IL, and Brandon Walters. So you're dealing, fucking Hunter Brown, duh. So you've got Valdez, Brown, Jason Alexander, who I think got hit around pretty decently last night, if I'm not mistaken, and then Christian Javier. So you're missing really that fifth guy, and it might be a guy they just pull up, or maybe Arrighetti comes back because he's only on the 15-day. I'm not sure what his injury is. And then bullpen, the hater below is tough. Abreu, Brian King. I don't know any of these guys. Craig Kimbrell, who had a tough go of it a couple of days ago. I saw that against the Braves. So again, pitching is going to be in all honesty, I'm looking at this pitching rotation and in this bullpen. Can the Astros compete? People are going to think I'm hating, but I don't think so. But if you think I'm being an asshole, you haven't heard my biggest piece to this conversation yet. But yeah, I don't know if this pitching situation they've got can really honestly compete against, like, let's see, who would they play? Seattle. Again, you got 3-4 solid starters coming out of Seattle with obviously you got George Kirby, Bryce Miller, Wu, 3 solid guys, and you got a wild card, so you're going to face all 3 if anything, right? So I mean, again, that's what you're going up against. Seattle's bullpen is a little bit tough, but again, I think that bullpen in your starting rotation might hurt. You might get a win from Brown, and you might muster one up from Javier or Framber, but that bullpen might come back and bite you in the ass. And again, if they'd ended today, they'd be facing Seattle, and you got 3 solid pitchers coming at you. So that'll be interesting there. But here's and this is going to crush a lot of people, and it's going to sound like I'm just like depressed. We have to talk about the Yankees. And I was trying not to talk about them because it scares me. They scare me a lot. So obviously, if the season ended now, they'd get Boston. They have not played well against Boston all year long. Luckily, they took 2 of 3, and then the most recent series in Fenway, they took the one Friday, took the one Saturday, and then Boone just punted Sunday. I mean, that was a lineup that. But again, I read after the fact that we apparently a lot of Yankee fans knew that they weren't going to get that Sunday game. It was going to be a punt game because of what they had coming up with Minnesota. A lot of people think that maybe the Yankees might lose their wild card spot, and it might. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that they're going to shit the bed that bad. Let's look at their schedule they got going here. Let's see. Why am I not stupid? Why are you showing me April? I don't care about April, bro. The MLB site is one of the worst. All right. So we had Boston this week. They had Boston this weekend. Took 2 of 3. Lost 2 of 3 before that to Detroit. That was awful. That was something. 2-12, 1-11, and then 9-3. Awful. They won 4-1 on Friday night, 5-3 on Saturday, and then lost 4-6. And obviously, in quick timeout as we go through the schedule, right? They really only lost Sunday. Granted, with how bad that lineup was, in my opinion, they really only lost Saturday because the Red Sox didn't score again after that first inning with Will Warren. He gave up 6 before getting 2 outs. And again, we'll talk about Will Warren. We're going to talk about all that. But really, they almost came back 4-6. Not bad. And then they lost last night 7-0 to the Twins. They've got the Twins going again today. Then they got the Orioles from Thursday to Saturday and Sunday. Oh, they got a 4-game stretch there. Off Monday. And then finish with the White Sox and the Orioles. So they should take care of business against these teams. Can I guarantee it? No. Sadly enough, I can't. Because they just lost 7-0 to the Twins last night. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. These guys keep you on your toes. I mean, if I tell you, they keep you on your toes. Because I don't know what to expect from them on a nightly basis. And mostly it's the bullpen. It's the bullpen and bad defense, man. Like they've had the issues with the bullpen. Well, I have 3 talking things and then we'll get into the rest. But, the bullpen is bad. Luke Weaver got tagged bad last night. The only guy that I'm actually comfortable when he goes in the game is Bednar. And you can't, I mean, what are you going to throw Bednar out for 4 innings a night? I mean, like who are we working with here? Where's the roster? Give me the damn roster. I'm pissed. All right. So we're dealing with Dave Bednar, Paul Blackburn, Fernando Cruz, who is, I mean, if his splitter's not working, which it hasn't been, it's not going to be good. Doval, Tim Hill, Luke Weaver, Devin Williams, and Ryan Yarbrough. Okay, so Blackburn hasn't done great. Cruz hasn't done great. Doval has been nothing since the deadline. Hill's been shaky. Weaver, Weaver, who was the guy last year who stepped in and really took over that closing role, has struggled this year. And then Devin Williams, who I think honestly, Devin Williams just hurts because I thought I was one of the few that were so pumped when they got Devin Williams over the break, over the offseason. I was pumped. I was so pumped. Like, dude, Devin Williams, airbender, and he has struggled in any real close situation, but he shows flashes of it, and you're just like, wow. Again, that was tough. And then Yarbrough, who was starting games at the beginning, went down to the IL. And then I think at the time he went to the IL, Heel came back, and it kind of offset that, so he's running out of the bullpen. Yeah. And then obviously starting-wise, you've been dealing with Will Warren, Cam Schlittler, who's been doing good, Rodon, Heel, Fried. So, I mean, you got a solid 5-man. I think that, and personally, watching Yarbrough throw at the beginning of the year, and then he got hurt, I say that Warren moves to the bullpen, you put Yarbrough at that 5 spot. Which if the Yankees are smart, you go Rodon, Heel, Fried in that wild card game, and then you start the first game of the divisional series with Schlittler. That's how you roll it. I mean, there's no other way not to. That's how you roll it. Well, yeah, the starters are okay, and again, the starters do really good. It's when the game gets turned over, it's like holy shit here, like buckle up, right? And moving into the defensive aspect, I mean, the shortstop position is wide open. And the other thing I don't really get about the Yankees is that it looks like Volpe may have been playing hurt this whole year. And people are like, oh, well, whatever. Trevino played hurt in 23 with a broken wrist. And talking to him after that, I'm like, what are you doing, bro? But it seems to be the way that the Yankees roll, dude. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. It seems like guys don't want to get off the field. You got to have trainers there to protect these guys from themselves. If they're playing hurt, it's not doing the team any good. You know what I'm saying? So that's an issue. But Volpe leading the entire league in errors, and he's been dismal at the plate. He shows like another guy flashes. And again, I see people blow shortstop for the New York Yankees out of proportion. Do I think Volpe is that bad of a player? No. Is all the hate warranted? No. There's worse. And the funny thing was that Yankees fans are so jaded because last night, everyone was like, Caballero's the guy. Caballero's the savior. He should be playing short. He also had 2 errors last night. Oh, the one shuffle wasn't his fault. Jazz overthrew. He took 5 steps through it, and then Jazz had to rush the throw. Yeah, it was an error on the shortstop. If you don't know ball, then you're not going to know that. It's little stuff like that. So I'm sitting here saying shortstop's wide open, bro. Shortstop's wide open. Third base is locked down with McMahon. Again, I'm still worried with Jazz at second, even though that is arguably his better position. First place with Rice has a really hard time. I get we're trying to get Rice's bat in the lineup, but he has a really hard time scooping balls at first. A really, really hard time. Some that I'm like, my God, you're a catcher. You should make that play. Really tough. When they're trying to get Rice in the lineup, you sit Goldschmidt, but Goldschmidt's a better first baseman, so you have a problem there. Behind the plate as well, Wells has been struggling, and Wells is kind of having some issues behind the plate, blocking balls. But then behind there, you can't. You got Rice, who's kind of the backup. Do you pull up Escar? There's a lot of issues there. A lot of defensive problems that I'm not confident about, like at all. Just not good. The outfield is okay. You got Judge, who I don't know if Judge can even throw. There's a lot of issues there. I haven't seen him unload a baseball yet since he came back with his elbow problem. Grisham's been playing a decent center, obviously, but he's very streaky with the bat. And then Bellinger is always going to be a solid staple out there. Personally, I don't know why. The other day they've been playing Slater. I don't know where that guy came from. I don't know where he's been, or I'm not talking shit on the guy. I don't know. He kind of just showed up. I thought he was a pitcher. When he threw that game, I didn't know. I don't know where he came from, but he's there, and I'm upset why Jason Dominguez isn't playing over Slater. And I get the whole issue. And the thing with the defensive structure is going to be tough because Giancarlo Stanton, they've even been putting Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield. That shouldn't happen. He's terrible. He can't move. So there's just a lot of defensive issues with the Yankees that I am not confident that they make it out of the wild card, especially with track record against Boston this year. I don't see it. I don't see them getting past Boston. And it's tough for me to say verbally, like out loud. You can think it, but you don't say it. I'm saying it. They scare me. And we're looking at like Boston, right? Because Boston is not too far behind the Yankees in the wild card either. Let's see. So they have right now, I'm actually watching the Red Sox right now. They got the Athletics in Boston, right? So they have a relatively decently easy, not really, because they've got, this next 7 days should be decent for them. They've got the A's, just started a 3-game set with the A's. Then they go to Tampa this weekend. Then they're going to go to Toronto for the Blue Jays, which should be tough. And they're going to finish the Tigers, which is not necessarily an easy game, an easy 6-day stretch. So, I mean, not bad. But like looking at Boston's roster, like Chapman has somehow had this, you kind of didn't know what you were going to get out of him the last couple of years. And then all of a sudden this year, he's really, that's a Aroldis Chapman. He's still launching balls 102, 103. Like that's the guy. You got Brian Bellows pitching well, Garrett Crochet, who's pitching really great. He pitched Sunday night and 10 strikeouts in like 4 innings. Like, damn. And Giolito, who's a hit or miss. And then Peyton Tolley, who they pulled up. Decent guy, not bad. So they've got a decent, again, another, I think their bullpen is better than New York's. So if they're going to face New York, it's going to be tough. But I think starters to starters, I think the Yankees come out on top with Rodon, Heel, and Fried. I think the best they got is Crochet, Bayo, and Giolito, and Giolito's kind of the end of it. He's kind of like the heel of the group, right? So tough there. But their sticks are strong, man. Bregman, Trevor Story, Sogard, Nathaniel Lowe, who kind of was out of a job and then came back, Romy Gonzalez. Like, they've got some pieces, man. I think the thing that hurt them the most was that Roman Anthony injury, and they don't know if apparently he might be ready, playoff ready. They didn't really specify that was going to be wild card or if they make the division. I don't know, divisional series. So that's tough. But they got some pretty good bats. I think offense is decent. The thing with the Yankees, and this is what's going to be huge, and if I'm being 100% honest, it's probably going to be the Yankees-Boston series. I think that's how it's going to shape up. If the Yankees play real baseball like they did on Friday and Saturday, it's a series. They can play like that consistently, they got a shot. But it's when they just roll over themselves, everyone's trying to hit nukes, everyone thinks they're Aaron Judge, is when they run into trouble. And if they try to do that, they're just not going to win because Boston plays a fundamentally better game, in my opinion. But again, it'll be interesting to see. But anyway, we are going to have more episodes. Like I said, I know I've said this 100 times. I mean it. I promise. I'm telling you guys, this is when the season heats up. This is the best part of the year. In 2 weeks, I think I'm going to take off like work for the wild card series. Like I'm going to be in it. Like whatever. We're getting in this, right? This is the best time of the year. I always say the best time of the year is the beginning of the year, like beginning of the season. Well, spring training starts, yes. Pitchers and catchers report, it's a great time. Opening day, and then the first day of the playoffs, wild card. Let's go. That's the best time of the year. It beats Christmas. It beats Thanksgiving. It beats whatever holiday you can throw at it. This is the time, man. This is the crunch time. This is when shit gets real, right? It's exciting. It's exciting. We're almost at postseason baseball, but once again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching and for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that junk. I tell you guys all the time. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'm always talking on there sometimes. I kind of talk about a lot of different shit on there, but if it's nightly, it's probably baseball shit. So be sure to follow on there. And we'll be sure to catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks again.